Hey, everybody. This is going to be an incredibly short stream. I mean, it's the point is to make an incredibly short video just talking about everyone's favorite debate, slavery. Dan McClellan just responded to Allie Beth Stuckey and her claims about the Bible and slavery. Basically, everyone needs to be abundantly clear on this issue that the Bible condones slavery. It's not hard, okay? Make sure that your social media presence contains the fact that in the Bible it condones slavery. Ta-da! So simple. So simple. So Marty at his channel, excuse me for not knowing the name offhand here. Let's see if I can. The Other Hood, thank you. Posted this video about the church and its stance that basically slavery was a blessing to African Americans. So let's
So when we make this generalization, one of the purposes of it, one of the points of utility for it, is for Black people who do not embody that culture to repudiate it, hate it, and also for policymakers to make the kind of political movements and in terms of law and order that would usher in the change over time of that culture.
So there's a lot to unpack here.
So basically, he's, if I'm going to paraphrase this correctly, that he's going to stereotype African Americans to justify particular policies to make their lives better, according to white people.
Instituted by law. This wasn't an option.
One of them would be something like, I tweeted about this, the law of Moses in Deuteronomy 21 concerning a rebellious child. If 5 to 6% of Black, I think it's something like 5% of Black males are murderers.
Yeah, 5% of young Africans are committing the bulk of the murders.
So if you had 100 Black men in America, a room,
and how many white people are committing murders per capita? If Caucasian people are the majority here, what's the stats on them? What about the stats on them in the overwhelming majority population in rural areas, which is white? Do we care how many Caucasian people commit similar crimes in rural areas? What about DUIs that end in fatality? Do you want to include those in the statistics of the predominant Caucasian, presumably, population in the United States? No, you fucking don't.
Even just, I think specifically, if you had 100 Black men in a room, 5 of them would have committed murder.
So after making a bunch of false claims, he's now trying to use false data to back up those claims.
This doesn't, God damn it. I want to know. Oh, this is the 5% live video. Here it is.
Hey there, folks. Hope
I wanted this video. My bad, gang.
Because here's the deal. It's like, what was slavery? The richest Black people on God's green earth are African Americans. If slavery never happened, then you would be in a grass hut.
Yeah. If slavery never happened, you would be in a grass hut. I didn't know that you could get in a goddamn time machine and see the future. Do you believe sincerely that the exact butterfly effect of not slavery, all African Americans, all African peoples would just be incredibly destitute? Is that what you believe? You're a disgusting person, Christian man, to think of that. You have God's knowledge of the future. He says that as if living in a hut is the worst thing in the world. Yeah. Who has the highest rates of depression? Oh, we fucking do? Who who are still dying of curable diseases? We are. Who has the highest incident of obesity? We are. Who has the highest incident rate of heart disease? Hello, Westerners. Oh yes, we've just got everything fucking figured out. Here's one of the main points I want to make while I have this brief amount of time. Christians and atheists debating the topic of slavery. Ultimately, some Christian men, like not the little Jesus guy there, but the blue suit motherfucker, think that slavery was a blessing to Africans and African Americans. Okay? Because, as I said just moments ago, they apparently have God knowledge, foreknowledge, omniscience, that if this thing would not have happened in history, this systemic outcome would happen, right? Or sorry, would not happen. There we go. Sorry. What human can perceive the future consequences of X thing not happening in history? Oh, I can tell you, none of them. You'd still be in grass huts. Who's to say whose life is actually objectively better? We could point to all kinds of statistics that show us that American life fucking sucks for most people. What are those stats about people living paycheck to paycheck? People needing government assistance, which, by the way, because of the shutdown, are about to lose all of that and their lives will be in fucking danger. And mind you, this is a self-proclaimed Christian nation, and the best we can fucking do with the majority of policymakers as ostensibly Christians, the best we can fucking do is take away the money necessary to keep alive more Christians, to share the gospel with more people. That's the best we can fucking do. As a Christian nation with predominantly Christian policymakers, the best we can fucking do is starve our populace. The best we can fucking do is raise the ceiling for billionaires and reduce their taxes, allow more wealth to go to them. That's the best we can do. And yeah, this is a real blessing to people we enslaved, I'm sure. No. The system we have and that you support, Matt Walsh, Timu Matt Walsh, it's not good. And people who live in subsistent farming and simpler culture, they don't have all these goddamn problems. In fact, we could do a lot to fix their problems. We could be a continual blessing, but America first, then start here, Christians. Nope, you're going to vote against your own interests once again. All right, so the main point here, if you believe that the kidnapping, the destitution of African societies was a blessing for those future people, I want your future seeing powers, for one. And two, you need to reevaluate what you really mean by that. Three, you need to work from the baseline assumption that modernity is actually a good thing. Like what we have now is actually better for everybody, which is not. You need to stop generalizing. And you need to think about the cost and the repercussions on where we obtained the slaves. Was it a blessing to the nations that we kidnapped those people from? That we took their able-bodied men and children, their most fit, their ideal people to construct their nations. We took them, kidnapped them, stole them, raped them, and worked them to death. And now we're expecting them to have constructed an amazing society with the very people they would potentially need to create it. We took their leaders, we took their strongest, we took their youngest, and now we're calling that a blessing. We left the nations that colonizers possessed in destitution by ruining their population. Oh yes, a big fucking blessing. The spread of the gospel, where they brought Christianity. At what cost? At what cost? A blessing is being dragged as if in a shipping container, packed body to body in the hull of a ship, praying to your gods that you don't die in there from dysentery, malnourishment. Excuse me? The second thing that I wanted to say about slavery apologetics here is that, one, it's horrific to call it a blessing. Two, it operates under the assumption of an imagined past. An imagined past where everything that was modern then was just inherently better. That everything that happened in European society was just equal tier, objectively great for everyone else. And what white colonizers and enslavers were bringing was the better stuff. We've already addressed the fact that for most people alive in America, which would include descendants of slaves, most people in America do not have the best of best experiences. All right? We could easily argue that what we've created on the backs of these people, slaves, is worse for the majority of people. The only people who get to say slavery was a blessing are the entitled white motherfuckers like this guy, who don't experience the ills and pains of the majority of people who live in this country, who can't address their health issues adequately. They are victims of the systems that we created because we were enabled by the marketplace to have slaves. Slavery was not a blessing to African people, and it's us using it is not a blessing to us either. Even theologians recognized that you are not doing good if you use evil means to pursue it. Okay? If this Christian man believes that slavery is justified because of some imagined outcome that American life is just so much goddamn better, or because a select few people have risen to the top, the means to get anyone there were absolutely horrific. And to early Christian theologians, it should have never taken place to begin with. Absolutely not, never, not a chance. Another thing about the debate of Christianity and slavery, you know, could we exist in a possible world that is the opposite of what this stupid, yeah, there I go insulting intelligence, And this entitled bastard believes, could we live in a possible world that is the opposite of what he believes it would be without slavery? Absolutely. Do you want to know what it would have been? White Christian colonizers just handing over resources, handing over technology, just freely given as God has given them, handing over the best of what they have to bless other people. And would it be necessary to drag that, to rape, pillage, take their most able-bodied peoples across the sea for our own benefit? Would that be necessary? No, absolutely not. This is not necessary under Christian theology, not one bit. And here we go, people suggesting, whoa, if we wouldn't have raped, pillaged, and completely destroyed African societies a few hundred years ago, it would have gone terribly for them. Bitch, you made it terrible. We made it terrible in the past. Made it worse. And that's not to say slavery didn't happen in African nations then, but colonizers brought it so far upscale, and it's always unjustified. It's not my worldview that's the problem here. It's the assumptions you make in spite of your worldview. So he assumes that modern Western culture is actually better for everyone. It's obviously better for him. He doesn't experience the majority experience of Americans, especially the people we've systematically oppressed. He doesn't have the experience of being assumed illegal, existing while brown, which is growing as a problem. So there's two things. 3, he has some wackadoo omniscience to predict what would have been if some horror hadn't happened. So if you encounter someone who believes slavery was a blessing, you can argue that you have no justification to believe that society would have ended up worse for anybody. And finally, shit. I lost the plot there. Oh, and finally, under Christendom, it makes infinitely more sense to just be radical blessing givers at the outset. Can you imagine the possible world we would have had if the most entitled and rich people, ostensibly Christian people, brought everything to every nation they had, and instead of taking those people for themselves, instead of stealing their valuables and bringing it to Europe, if instead of all those things, we left those things in place and they were radical blessing givers? Can you imagine that possible world? I sure as fuck want to. Wouldn't that be in line with Jesus's teachings? Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. It seems that Jesus is all for the abandonment of self-concern. In the name of what? God, and spreading his message. the examples of the disciples traveling around with fuck all. The Acts community sharing everything in common. This wouldn't have been hard to understand, mind you. It would be hard because of the hard hearts. We're all sinners, Nitty. Those weren't true Christians. Oh, give me a fucking break. Right? Get in your time machine and interrogate every slave trader and tell me that they didn't believe they were Christians. Good. Go on. Do it. Yeah, because apparently you have time machine powers in your head that you can self-declare what the future would have been in human history. Fuck, I want that power, right? What if we had offed baby Hitler? And what's that possible world like? A lot more people, a lot more potential for happiness, a lot more families have been intact, a lot more generational wealth would have been able to continue. But hey, there we go. So again, when you're in the slavery debate, just question these assumptions, right? Is it really the case that anyone is better off now than when times were simpler? Do this supposed set of goods, are they worth the evils? Apparently Christians sure as fuck don't think so, because love doesn't necessitate evil. To love someone doesn't necessitate that you abuse them first. All right? And under a Christian worldview, slavery should have never happened. The antebellum South shit is completely unnecessary. And in the Hebrew Bible, slavery should have been unnecessary too. Because God promised a land of milk and honey. Every resource they could possibly need provided for. So what do you need to buy people for? What's that about? Did you get everything God wanted or not? All right, gang, I got to crash out. I hope this is some content that is a little bit different of a pitch of the atheist and slavery debate and conversation. It's not really the way I hear it. So, you know, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you around. I will always love you all. Like, share, sub. You do this stuff. You do this stuff. Because that's Nitty. We will see you.
Brand new badders. I know it's all snakes and ladders.